What would it take for a war between the United States and China, and who else would be involved? That's the topic for today. I'm going to show you how what we are seeing right now is, in fact, the most tension we have ever seen between these two countries. I'm going to give you all the details. If you stick with me until the end, I'm going to show you who else is involved because that's real key to understand. Now we have this information that's probably being spread out there on all the media channels and Twitter and everything. China warns Pelosi trip marks invasion and military has a right to fire on her plane. Now, there's some nuance to that and it's not exactly true. I'll give you that, but you got to stick with me, okay? First things first. Pelosi Taiwan visit, region tense as Chinese Navy watches US warships holding drills in the South China Sea. So this comes at a time in which we have China and the US dealing with nonstop back and forth, tit for tat. You know, you do this, I do that. I've got a problem with this, you've got a problem with that. And what is this current issue? It's not the tariffs, it's not all these other things that have been happening. This is between Taiwan and China. Now, the United States has said we support Taiwan, but what remains to be seen is, do they support them militarily? They've kind of hinted at that. They've done so before in terms of saying, a few things here and there, but not necessarily officially and made that official statement out there. China believes that this is an area that it's theirs. They have Taiwan. It's a touchy subject, of course, and there's a lot of nuances there and so on. But every single year, Taiwan prepares militarily for an invasion. And they're doing that right now. And at this time, we have US warships coming in, nuclear capable warships. So China brings in their warships. And they're basically saying, look, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do this. And it just escalates back and forth, back and forth. So let me show you something right here. So we have the aircraft carrier rolling in. They talk about the fact that it's nuclear capable, other ones, and so on. Okay, all of this is happening in these contested waters of the South China Sea. Then we have this. This is, something that was actually stated. They had a 2-hour call between the leader of the U.S. and the leader of China. Quote, play with fire and you will get burned. And that is very clear. Don't touch Taiwan. He made that clear, and that's where we are at today. Look, it's so important to see it all, to watch the developments that have been going on. Now, this article out of Axios basically breaks it down to what we're seeing here, and it's essentially saying that, China might go in and attack Taiwan sooner rather than later. The timeline for a potential Chinese attempt to take Taiwan by force seems to be getting shorter, and then they basically talk about the play with fire quote. Okay, and one of those things is that Pelosi supposedly is going to go to Taiwan. If Pelosi does go to Taiwan, that's where things get heated because that really signals we are here to protect you. And if China comes in for an invasion, we're going to swoop around. I mean, it is pretty obvious anyway, but this would be that next level because you got the US warships coming in when Taiwan is doing their yearly actions that they do preparing for the, right here as it says, part of a regular schedule of defense drills. What are they preparing for? They're preparing for an invasion of China. At the same time, US pulls their ships in. I think they're making the point pretty clear. That's just me though, okay? So looking at this, just basically just shows you at the bottom, the Chinese government has repeatedly vowed to take control of the self-governing island by force if necessary, and it reacts furiously to any gesture that seems to treat Taiwan as an independent state. So that's what's happening right now. Okay, I don't want to go into too much. I'm going to give you the main points and the most important factors. PLA's post, People's Liberation Army, preparing for war, that's a quote, draws wide support from netizens ahead of Army Day. So this is according to, Global Times is basically a Chinese mouthpiece. But what they are saying here is that this was posted on Weibo, I believe it was, which is like the Twitter of China, and it says preparing for war. Here you can see preparing for war, the official Weibo account of the army, so on and so forth, posted this two-word Chinese post, posted 15 hours ago. It's already gained 650,000 likes. You know, who's really liking that anyway? But the point is, it's official. This is confirmed. It's not a joke. It's not something that people should be taking lightly. I think this is very serious. There's another article here just basically saying that tensions here haven't been this high since 1996, and a visit by the White House speaker could push China to the brink. So I'm not really understanding what's going to happen at this point here, because you have a situation in which China says, okay, you go there, you're basically taking it to the next level. And then at the same time, the US can't really do anything in terms of backing off, and they can't really go there. What are they going to do? Because if they back off, it looks like, okay, China, you won. So we have to see what happens. Okay, looking at this is just this back and forth. He said, she said. According to the White House press secretary, genocide and forced labor came up in last night's call between the Chinese and US presidents. That is disinformation. Who knows? Who knows what the reality is, but they're just not agreeing on anything. And then we look at who would be pulled into it. And you got to understand there's a lot going on here, but there's no doubt that Russia and China have become BFFs. So Russia hopes there will be no provocations to aggravate the situation around Taiwan. This is coming from Lavrov, okay, one of the highest positions within the country. Looking at this, earlier there were reports that Nancy Pelosi, who occupies the third most important post, intended to visit the island in August. Okay, so we are just about there, and I want to see what happens. I'm going to keep a close eye, and I'm sure you won't have to look too far for this type of information because it's really big. Kremlin expresses solidarity with China over Taiwan. So, Russia's made it very clear. We support China with the Taiwan situation, and that's the end of that. So we've got that. At the same time, we also have countries like Iran, who are clearly very friendly with Russia, with China. Iran to start accepting Russian Mir payment cards soon. So their digital cards, whether it's a Visa or debit cards and so on, they're able to use that. That's going to really alleviate a lot of the pressure off the Iranian people, and of course bring these two countries closer together. So you see what's happening here. Iran, Russia, China, the BRICS nations, they're setting up their own SWIFT system. They're setting up their own equivalents of the World Bank, IMF, and so on. They are doing these Belt and Road initiatives. They're doing all these different things to basically say to the US, we are not going to accept what you are doing in any way, whether that's geopolitical, whether that's financial, and so on. Okay, so I made my points clear here for today, and I think it's so important to look at what's going on. Is it World War III? Should we be even saying that? Because this word gets used all the time. Well, yeah, it's happening here, it's happening there. I've seen the official beginning of World War III maybe 462,000 times over the last few years. But the point here is that what we are looking at right now, I've never seen it this hot, okay? Because on top of that, you got to remember, the tariffs, they're still in place. Like, all that stuff never went away. The tensions never went away. And on top of that, you pile the Taiwan situation up, and it's not looking good. At the same time, you've got, I don't want to say a need, but you've got, let's just say, the military industrial complex, they need some more action. They got to have that, okay? Because it's been a little while since they've had enough. So what they're doing with Ukraine right now, that's helping keeping the system running, but they need something bigger, in my opinion, and that could be a China-Taiwan, even if it's like a Cold War scenario where they just keep building up putting all these military, putting all the troops in the South China Sea, loading up Japan, loading up South Korea, like wherever it needs to be, and they just keep loading that up. Something similar to what they were doing with NATO and pulling that up on the Russian border. So, remains to be seen, but I think it is getting to a point in which not looking good. So that's the news for today. I hope you appreciate it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. And don't forget, by the way, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Okay, I know a lot of people who think they're subscribed too that have been unsubscribed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.